Welcome to all who find themselves listening to this video at this specific point in time. This message comes forth from the energetic signature of Hermes, also known as Mercury, the keeper of messages, timelines, and communication. Specifically, I wish to talk to the coding system that is astrology. Many of you wonder in modern day society how astrology can be a believable system when it has been washed thoroughly through mainstream and superficial understanding. It is often seen as a type of false belief, and in the best case scenario, often just a pseudoscience. Although it is understood as a highly mathematical calculation of patterns, its significance is undervalued in modern day society. When it comes to the paradigm of astrology, there are two main ones. While there may be subsections, these two main ones are known as Western astrology and Eastern astrology, or Vedic astrology. Western astrology is built upon the calendar of 12 moons, 12 months, despite the fact that there are 13 moons per year. The Eastern astrology works a little more in tandem with the natural rhythms of the planets and nature. So we have two main bodies of scholars talking about astrology, or a third, if you will. The third one being one that analyzes astrology as a mathematical equation, not so much a guideline by which life can be decoded. The other two strongly believe in astrology as a paradigm by which to calculate life's tendencies. It is clear on both ends and both parties that astrology is of great influence and at the same time great signature of what is happening on Earth. All that is perceived as chaos on Earth, if zoomed out enough, can be described with the language of astrology, the language of the planets, where which planet was located strongly portrays the energy of a specific point in time. In other words, history repeats itself just as much as planetary movement repeats itself. Now, some think, well, that cannot be. True, real life cannot be influenced by planets. Well, if we go to a smaller scale, it is very well known in the scientific community that the moon, with its magnetic field, strongly influences the menstrual cycle of women. Also, we understand that planets strongly influence the movement of waters on the Earth planet. Now, if you think of yourself as a human being, a human body made up of up to 70 to 80% of water, why would one not think that one is moved by the planets if every other water body on Earth is? While we understand that there is some misunderstanding around astrology, specifically the misunderstanding that it is the planets that rule over your life, and many rebel against that idea because truly it is not the complete story. It is not that planets rule over your life, just as much as a clock doesn't rule over time. If you look at a watch and you say, it is 1 p.m., would you say that if you were to move the letters on that digital clock, the numbers on that digital clock, that it would automatically become 4 p.m. just because you moved it to 4 p.m. on the digital clock? No, it would not. It would still be objectively 1 p.m. In that sense, astrology also functions a bit as a clock. Maybe You enter a point in time during the day where you feel quite tired, as if you would want to fall asleep. And then you look at the clock and you say, wow, it is 11:30 p.m. It is now time for me to go to sleep. It's not that the clock influenced your tiredness. You were naturally, organically tired because nighttime has arrived and you have been active throughout the day. So also astrology really is a reference point and a type of interpretation of what would happen anyways. Now, we do hear in the camp of astrology opposers those who say, well, there is no such thing as happen anyways, because that would mean that everyone's life is predetermined. And from the perspective of the timeline keeper, the energy called Hermes or Mercury, the idea is it's not that your lives are predetermined. In fact, even if you were to hold the paradigm that the life is predetermined and designed by the stars or with the help of the stars, we would like to clarify. You will always have about 20 to 35% of free will that can change your destiny in any direction at any point in time. As you increase your awareness and allow yourself to step away from your more innate design, or respectfully, from your innate habits, the programming that you experience as a child in society or through religion, when you step away from those things that are not you and you become more of you, your authority rises and your power to choose your own destiny's path, to the surprise of even the stars and what you call the godly divine powers. These are the stories of heroes, those who become self-aware enough to be able to let down all of their shells in favor of their most genuine self-expression, which then holds so much free will that not even planets can correctly suggest what this person is about to do or how that person is about to change their lives. This holds true also in the psychological world, the world of psychology, the knowledge of psychology. The idea is that there are great strengths in the programming that you were born and raised into. And these programmings, these habits, these beliefs will rule your life until the end of your time here on earth, unless you bring to the conscious what is subconscious, unless you bring from the depths of within you the beliefs to the forefront that you want to change to improve your life, live your life more like you want it to look like, instead of what perhaps your parents wanted it to look like, or all the generations that came before you managed to imprint onto each other's lives. So we are not saying that you must adopt astrology as a paradigm of truth. But we are saying that just like astrology, there are many paradigms across the earth, often seen as pseudoscience, often believed as untrue superstitions. In many of these paradigms, there is truth to be beholden and experienced, but it cannot be experienced if one is not curious to learn, to explore, to experiment, to collect data and prove for oneself once and for all, can this paradigm be useful to me or not? See, many of you have forgotten that life is an adventure of experimentation. If you feel the pull towards exploring astrology as a possible paradigm that could potentially improve your life, then by all means, follow that excitement. Study it, explore it. Get a reading from a Vedic and a Western astrologist. Find those things that ring true in your inner being and hold on to them. And even if you were to come to a point where you choose to release these ideals because you say, well, it is no longer serving me, then congratulations, you have moved on to greater things that encourage your own evolution. Humanity has lost its ability to change its mind. It feels as if it is a great offense to oneself or one's own tribe to change one's mind. Yes, you are very much in your right to believe that astrology is useless. But maybe at some point in time, you get curious and you venture out into the fields of astrology, and you suddenly find something that resonates deep within, that improves your lives, that increases your personal joy and sense of excitement. And then we say, welcome to changing your mind. Nobody judges you but yourself when you do. Change your mind as often as you want, but do so with the integrity of someone who has explored on their own 2 feet, to see with their own 2 eyes, to hear and understand with their own 2 ears, instead of adopting the things that were told to you about these paradigms, whether it be astrology or a type of medicine or a type of living style. Find out for yourself. Create your own opinions. Think critically. Allow yourself to open your mind, to close it up again, and to open it once more. The beauty of astrology throughout the ages is that in its great mathematical precision, it has never forced itself on anyone. You may enter that paradigm and exit it. You may enter it again and exit it forever. It will take no offense to your exploration. And therefore we say, from the perspective of the Hermes and Mercury energies, the idea of timelines also quite strongly tied to the mathematical equations of astrology is simply the idea of tendencies and of potential scenarios with high probabilities. But just because a scenario has a high probability does not mean that it must unfold according to a specific plan or interpretation. No, for that we must say humanity has too much free will. Yes, even the smallest portion of free will in a human is of such great power that stars would have to realign for that individual's decision to not be validated. You see, the beauty of human free will is that you always have a choice. Yes, you may have tendencies. Yes, you may have habits. Yes, you might be stuck in cycles that seem to be repeating endlessly. But the reality is you have the choice to move forward. And even if it is step by step, to create new habits, a new version of yourself, a new future for yourself, something that stands out from all the generational cycles, patterns, and quote unquote curses that people in your family line have lived. You have the power to step out. The more you become aware of who you are, but you cannot become aware of who you are if you have lost the ability to be curious, to venture out into the land of self, to experiment with experiences, to find more of yourself in the unknown, for that is truly what the unknown is. It is simply a place where you find more of yourself. So it is with great joy that we pronounce that astrology is simply a field of the unknown that can show you more of you. And if this is not a field that excites you, then may you find many other fields that you explore and walk into with great courage and excitement for the things to come. That being said, we do encourage those who find excitement in astrology to keep an eye out for the planetary movements in the upcoming 5 to 10 years, for there are changes and planetary overlaps that have not been witnessed in millennia, tens of thousands of years. And now they are repeating in ways that will change human life forever. Again, not because the clock tells us what time it is in the day, but simply because the clock points to the hour that most approximates the collective understanding of where humanity stands in said timeline. So while the planets do not directly influence what is happening, they do point towards greater truths that could be helpful in making sense of an otherwise seemingly very chaotic world and political circumstance. Explore and venture out. For those who find excitement in the paradigms of astrology, you will notice that great changes are upon this earth and that they will coincide with the movements of the planets and the consequences of these movements in the months after. It is with great joy that we watch you relearn to be curious beings. It is with great joy that we watch you relearn how to play on the playground called Earth, in learning how to relearn in the classroom of the university called Earth. You are wonderful beings, and we give you all the honor that you are worthy of, each and every one of you. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye.